Kochi India edges past New Zealand to claim ICC Champions Trophy. They came, they stayed, they conquered. Oh, okay, that was impressive. Nice, I like how they started with that. Protests continue in Manipur. Women block vital highway. This problem does not look like it's coming to an end anytime soon. Hello and welcome to News Analysis. I'm your host Nikhil Anil, and today we'll be looking at some of the news stories from the front pages of some of India's leading newspapers. For instance, today we have The Hindu and we have The Economic Times. So let's take a look at what's up in the news. So why don't we start with The Hindu? Now The Hindu is known to cover a whole variety of issues, a whole treasure trove of issues. Let's see what's on the front page of this newspaper today. So this is the Kochi edition for today, that is March 10th, 2025. At the forefront, the first story is of course about India's victory against New Zealand. Kochi India edges past New Zealand to claim ICC Championship Trophy. And here you can also see a shot including both the champion players KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja, the finishers of yesterday's match, with Ravindra Jadeja of course bringing the much needed Sir Jadeja masterclass at the end of every final match. And one thing I like about this story is how they started off with the saying, they came, they stayed, they conquered. Now of course, as you know, this year's championship trophy was hosted by Pakistan. India had already made it clear that they wouldn't be going to Pakistan to attend any of the matches, and their matches were instead played in Dubai. So the final match of course was held in Dubai, and India came out victorious, donning the championship blazer as well. All the players received the blazers with the title Champions of the Champions Trophy 2025 Pakistan, which honestly feels like a big blow to our neighbors. But I really enjoy the news, the headline, the first line in fact seemed quite catchy, and of course the visual including both KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja was truly a much needed visual, and the match was again absolutely brilliant. I had seen it last night and it was brilliant. Now, after the exhilarating story of the Champions Trophy, The Hindu has chosen a serious subject. Protests continue in Manipur. Women block vital highway. The Kangpokpi and Churchandpur districts are affected as Kukizo people protest against free movement plan. The state budget set to be tabled today. So here we have a visual of the protesters blocking NH2 as a part of the protest. A very well taken shot, I must say, showing the protesters in their natural habitat. Women protesters blocked National Highway number 2 in the Kangpokpi district of Manipur on Sunday, a day after the area witnessed clashes between security forces and the Kukizo people that left one person dead. Manipur recently has been under fire for a lot of controversies, especially regarding the insurgency and the unrest between the people. The people of Manipur have been at loggerheads with the government and the law enforcement ever since the protests had started, and a lot of people have been begging the government to take action, even if not to enforce a military law, at least to ensure that there is proper law and order being enforced in the state, which unfortunately hasn't happened yet. The government still has yet to take a proper stance, which is what The Hindu aims to highlight. The Hindu has always been very critical of the government, so to speak, and they try to enforce that message through this story. They try to showcase that the government still has something to do about this, which is true, which is a very valid criticism, so to speak. That is why we have the press. Now after that, in a small side note, we have a story of Sabrimala, which is again very relevant to the people of Kerala. Trial of crowd system at Sabrimala. The trial run of a new crowd management system at the Sabrimala Sannidhanam designed to allow devotees ascending the 18 holy steps to enter the temple directly, will begin on March 14. This is of course a major news story for Hindus across the world, since Sabrimala is a holy site of pilgrimage. But this also holds a lot of importance for Kerala, which is where Sabrimala is located. Next, we have some more national and regional stories coming up. Dhankar's stable at AIIMS after chest pain. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has been admitted to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences after he complained of chest pain and uneasiness on Sunday morning. He is stable and under observation, an AIIMS source said. Of course, the Vice President of the country is a huge position to be held, and the Vice President of course takes precedence when it comes to stories. And it's good to know that he's been keeping well. He's more stable now, and we hope he recovers well. The Hindu also aims to highlight that through the story. Next, we have a Tamil Nadu-based story. Delimitation. DMK ministers, MPs to visit 7 states to muster support. As part of its efforts to build a momentum against a likely population-based delimitation exercise, the ruling DMK in Tamil Nadu has decided to send ministers and MPs to 7 states to muster support from other political parties for its efforts. So, and these 7 states are situated around the south. Again, Tamil Nadu is our neighbouring state, and through this they aim to bolster their support. The DMK wishes to maintain their power, and they are interacting with other political parties so as to ensure that they still have the popular support of the regions around them. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin himself had written to the Chief Ministers of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Telangana, Odisha, West Bengal and Punjab. Now, of course, DMK, as you know, has a government which is critical of the central government, so to speak. And the governments that they have visited and they have attempted to appease are all the people who are within the opposition of the primary ruling government, the majority ruling government, so to speak. Again, it gives us an insight into the Tamil Nadu politics. Next up is a Kerala-based story. Govindan re-elected as CPIM State Secretary. 3 new faces in State Secretariat and 17 in panel. 30 years after a state conference of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, which is the CPIM party in Kollam, it witnessed the first signs of factionalism within the party. And it ended in the same town with hardly a dissenting voice being raised. M.V. Govindan will continue as the State Secretary after a unanimous re-election. The state government earlier elected him as the State Secretary after Kodiyeri Balakrishnan vacated the post for medical treatment. So the CPIM still has a lot of popular support in the state, which is very visible. And M.V. Govindan has been unanimously elected as the State Secretary. Hence, this is someone who seems to hold the interest of the people at heart. Why else would the people vote for him all over again? That too in a unanimous decision. So the Kerala politics is still being governed by the CPIM, as we can see here. Then on the side we have a couple short stories mentioned here. Drug issue. The governor to convene VC's meeting today. Governor Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar will convene a meeting of Vice Chancellors of State Universities at Raj Bhavan to discuss measures to curb drug abuse and violence among the students. Drug abuse has been a rampant issue running across not just Kerala, across the entire country. And now finally it has been brought to the forefront through the government. So let us see where this leads, because it is still a very prevalent issue which hasn't found a proper solution. Sure, we have outlawed drugs. We have ensured that peddlers get punished. There is still a long way to go ahead with this. And that's it for the Hindu. Next, let's take a look at the Economic Times. Alright, now in my hands, I hold today's copy of the Economic Times. Again, the Kochi Edition. So, a little thing to know about the Economic Times Their front page has little stories. All their main stories are featured at once and only in the top half of the newspaper. The bottom half is mostly an advertorial. And again, another thing about the Economic Times, most of the stories are relating to economic policies or businesses. Very rarely do they cover any other subject as such. So let's take a look at what takes the forefront in today's edition of the Economic Times. Make and Believe in India. Pride enveloped of the award's Silver Jubilee for achievements of a fast-growing nation as well as the peerless awardees who contributed to it, as the C-suite rubbed shoulders with policymakers on a glittering evening. So, the Economic Times holds its own award ceremony, which is well reputed within the industry as well as among the commercial circles as well. Through this award ceremony, they usually aim to felicitate the chief entrepreneurs, the top entrepreneurs who have been making news, who have been creating a new trend or a new wave, who have revolutionized the entire industry. So, of course, it makes sense for that particular event to gain the maximum front page coverage. I mean, as you can see here, it's four columns of the front page. Already we are restricted to half a page in the front page, and you have 4 columns which cover this story, which cover this event. And even under that, we still have a lot of subheadings for other conversations, other discussions that have taken place. For example, at the top we have See Opportunity in the Challenges That Exist by the Finance Minister by the FM. Nirmala Sitharaman has called on stakeholders to believe in potential of India, which remains the fastest growing major economy. The FM says she sees an opportunity in each of the challenges that exist. India, as you know, is a very fast growing economy, but the truth lies in the fact that it is still growing. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has maintained her optimism in the scope of India's commercial scene. And she hopes that the other entrepreneurs, the other stakeholders, all see these challenges as the opportunities to make it grow even further. India to emerge strong from global shift, says Vaishnav. India will not only be a leader in tech services, but also a major creator in the age of AI, says Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. Again, they've covered AI. They've covered the entire global shift, the entire revolution that AI has brought forward in the industry. And AI has again not impacted just one, but it has affected almost multiple industries, if not all of them. So that was again a very good point to bring up. Ratan's nature commanded respect, Noel Tata. The respect that Ratan Tata commanded was in no small measure due to the nature of the person he was, said Noel Tata. Left to himself, Ratan may have well chosen a different path. He instead led the Tata Group. Of course, the loss of Ratan Tata is a major loss to India's economic industry. Not just the economic industry, Ratan Tata was an industrialist in the truest sense of the word. He spearheaded a lot of industries, whether it was hospitality management, whether it was the metal industry. Tata was always at the forefront. Tata was a major stakeholder. And all of these initiatives were led by Ratan Tata. So, it of course makes sense for him to receive special appreciation during this event, as well as a commemoration of the same. IPL told to ban sin ads. Again, IPL is coming within a month or two, and it is already creating a lot of waves. It's stirring the pot across all newspapers and all news agencies. Now, of course, the Economic Times being Economic Times, they have chosen to cover the business aspect of it, which here is the sin ads, such as the ad for gambling sites or the ads for any liquor company. And of course, considering the recent crackdown going against content being broadcasted, the ban on sin ads does seem to make a lot of sense. The story is covered in extensive detail later on. Right here is just the headline. Unilever hopes India's second half to be a better half. CEO Fernandez bullish about long-term prospects of changes in consumer choice. If you are running Unilever, you would not swap our Indian business with any other business. Unilever's new Chief Executive Officer, Fernando Fernandez, said at a fireside chat with Barclays in London. Unilever is one of India's biggest companies, biggest conglomerates out there, and they host a treasure trove of brands under the same banner. So, of course, any statement which Fernando Fernandez would say, the current Chief Executive Officer, it is bound to make waves in the industrial segment. And surprisingly, it's only covered within this single story and there is no extension to it. But then again, it's a quote. A very hard-hitting quote, although. And lastly, we have a very small extract of Haier set to invest 800 rupee crores. 800. Now, of course, after that, we have a small news story over here. Haier set to invest rupees 800 crore. The Chinese refrigerator and TV manufacturer Haier is making a fresh investment of rupees 800 crore in India to expand its AC production capacity with a new plant and to produce a key electronic component printed circuit board, said N.S. Satish, the president of its India business. Haier has been in the industry for a while, and not just in India but internationally. An investment into the Indian market is definitely something which is bound to make waves. And considering the amount, it's rupees 800 crore. It's not a small feat. It's quite an interesting turn of events for the Indian market, with all the statements being in support of it, with all the optimism towards the industry. Let us see what holds later on. So that's it from the Economic Times and the Hindu. I've been your host Nikhil Anil, and you're watching News Analysis. Thank you. Signing off.